Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 229, Hobbs and Shaw, Lap 10. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too. And this episode is brought to you by Hobbs & Son Garage. They are located in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and if you need an oil change, auto repair, or tires, call Hobbs & Son Garage.
Well, shout out to Hobbs and Son, and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we're going to be talking about Hobbs and Shaw. Not Hobbs and Son, but Hobbs and Shaw. But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Nothing super... Oh, I have one fun thing. Well, one thing we will talk about because we both did the same thing separately. One fun thing is I messaged you and Kara about this, but mainly just Kara about this, that, we have this long list of shows that are what Kara called Knife Show, right?
Yep.
When we were talking about it, where it's a competition where specialty artists make a thing. Well, there's one that we found on Netflix because we watch a lot of these, so they get recommended to us. That was a chocolate one.
Okay.
And I forget what the name of the actual show is. You could probably figure it out pretty easily. But there's this guy who's French who's an expert chocolate sculptor. Okay, so he makes very hyper-realistic things, very functional things, like a chandelier thing that looks like a pterodactyl, and he makes it entirely out of chocolate. There was some people that are kind of chocolatiers or pastry chefs that came and they compete. I think there's about 8 of them, and nobody gets sent home. They just get put in timeout if you don't do well on the first challenge. And the first one is you make whatever, right? A mug of coffee or something, and then they fill it with a cake, and then when he cuts it, it breaks through the chocolate, and he teaches them all kinds of cool chocolate techniques, like how to blow glass sugar orbs and stuff like this. Yeah, he kind of reveals his secrets, things that they're fans of his, and he has social media, and they're always hype on his social media, and he has lots of tricks that he doesn't show how to do, but he taught these people how to do them, and then it's okay, now you incorporate this into today's challenge, right? You have to make a glass ball, a sugar ball or whatever. It's just really wholesome and fascinating, and if you like these kind of shows, Chocolate Show's top tier. There's only one season of it. Right?
Is it called School of Chocolate?
Probably.
8 pros study the art of chocolate under the tutelage of a famed chocolatier.
That sounds about right, yeah. That's probably the name of it. And he just makes wild shit, so it's fun to watch. It's really gentle, something to put on in the background, and I really, really enjoyed it. Because I like all these glass blowing ones, the knife ones aren't fast. I'm not a weapony guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even that is they're still.
Well, I think seeing somebody who's good at something do that thing they're good at is always going to be satisfying to some level, right?
Exactly, yeah. So if you're bored and you have Netflix, I give Chocolate Show 2 thumbs up. It's a fun show to blow through.
Cool.
How about you, brother? What have you been up to?
Thursday, I saw The Batman, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
Then on Friday, Bob came up to do a lotto pod, so we did that. Then Saturday, remember I was saying to you, I have a story that's not a funny, but it's an accumulative story. So here's what happened. So last week, jumping ahead to the email section, new $5 patron, meet Jason R. So Jason R, Jason Rainey, who's tweeted at us before,
nice.
Joined the Patreon at $5, and I'm that's very cool.
Yeah,
March 3rd,
Jason.
So it was not the February pledge drive, but we said in the last episode, it goes on, we're going to extend it a little bit, so I'm cool, okay. So I got to talk to Brian, but I don't want to tell Brian about this until I talk to you about it, because I don't want him to know before you know, and all this different stuff. I'm and of course, in my classic way of doing things, I'm overthinking it, but I'm just whatever. Jason, we know you're going to get your stickers, but I wanted to talk to Brian, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Simultaneously, on Saturday, Larson had a little birthday get-together that his wife planned for him at their house.
Happy birthday, Larson. How are you?
Happy birthday, Larson.
Yeah.
I went there, and of course, Brian was there. Also, Mike Manzi's there, the resident historian Mike Manzi.
Ooh,
but
nice.
I was oh, Brian, this is perfect, because on the way here, I just passed a little used bookstore that said they have DVDs on the wall. Let's see if they have a Fast and Furious movie, and we can send it all, whatever.
Yes.
So Brian and I go to this DVD store. They don't have any, but Brian gets a couple of records. He gives one to Mike. Brian loves spending money on other people. It's a wonderful characteristic of Brian.
He's very gifty. It's cute. I like it.
He is very gifty. There's no DVD, so we get back, and I just order a movie off of eBay, so it's on the way here. So Jason, when that gets here, you will have that and the
Well, it needs to be autographed.
well, yeah, that's the easy part. But when I get this, I'm going to send it along with the stickers out to you. So it's not out yet, but on the way. By the time you hear this, hopefully I'll have the movie, whatever. So it was just funny that I'm like, I need this sort of like weird chain of events to happen where I need to tell Brian about a thing, but I don't want to tell Brian about a thing. Like, I don't want to go out of my way, but whatever. But I'm like, oh, I'm here. There's a DVD store. Let's just get it done. So
yeah.
Jason also emailed in. We'll get to that later when we get to the email section in earnest later, but that was Saturday. And then otherwise, I think I've just been hanging around playing some Elden Ring, watching some movies, watching some TV. I watched After Yang, which is by Koga Nada, who's the guy who made Columbus, which is one of my favorite movies. This movie also is awesome. I know this is not going to be a selling point to you, but it's a beautiful movie. It's like about the meditation of like grief and loss and death. So, right up my alley. But it's also like about robots and clones and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's great. Before we get to the Batman, because we're going to try something different this episode. We'll get to there in a second. But I have some TV updates. So I don't know if you watched either of these. They both started last week. But I've seen one episode of The Dropout, which is that Elizabeth Holmes Theranos show with Amanda Seyfried. Did you guys watch that? Are you going to watch that or no?
Oh, it sounds really good. I would like to watch it because I watched the documentary when that came out.
Right. So there was a book and then a documentary based on the book. This is a drama. This is a scripted drama with Amanda Seyfried. It was originally going to be Kate McKinnon, who dropped out. They replaced her with Amanda Seyfried, and now it's on Hulu. As they put out 3 episodes last week, and I think it's weekly on like Thursdays or something. So I've only seen 1, but there's 3 out right now as I say this.
Okay.
And then there's a movie coming out, I think that's still the plan, with Jennifer Lawrence as Elizabeth Holmes. I don't know. But I know that this for sure is that. I watched the first episode of Winning Time. Have you seen that HBO show? I'm sure you've heard about it, about the Lakers, the start of the Lakers dynasty.
I've heard about it, and I heard that it's amazing.
It's really good. It's very funny. It's Adam McKay, who did like The Big Short, which we both loved, but he did Vice, which I hated. He did Don't Look Up, which is kind of a mess or whatever. But it's the same kind of like talk to the camera, teach a thing, go back in time thing. It's really good. So I recommend Winning Time. That's weekly on
Everybody
Sundays
said
on
it's
HBO.
awesome. I've heard people that aren't even Lakers fans really, really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really well done, and I think it's enjoyable. And it's
not a documentary. It's a drama, right? It's scripted.
Yeah, like John C. Reilly plays Jerry Buss, who buys the Lakers. So I also started the next show that Bob and I are going to watch is Dope Sick, which is a Hulu show about the opioid epidemic with Michael Keaton and Caitlin Dever, which is kind of depressing, kind of heavy, but also really well done. So that's cool.
It actually sounds pretty cool, to be honest.
Caitlin Dever's awesome. Like, she was so good on Justified. She's obviously great in Booksmart. I watched that show Unbelievable, where she is the victim of a rape, but like it's just like, and it's like also like a cop show. Like it's great. Like, it's really, really good. She's awesome. The show is heavy but worth checking out. That came out last year, so that's all available on Hulu. And the other TV thing of note, before we talk about the other TV thing, is I finally, after 14 months, I finished Seinfeld.
I know. So I was waiting to ask you here. I figured you were close if you hadn't finished it yet. And the ending was very divisive. So what did you think about the ending? I want to hear your take on it.
I think the finale is one of the least funny episodes the show ever did.
That is absolutely fair. I totally agree. I'm not a fan of the Seinfeld finale at all. The Sopranos one definitely came around on me. Those are like the 2 big ones from when I was a kid that I remember. And yeah, the Seinfeld one was kind of like I see what they were trying to do. It just
and I
didn't
appreciate,
work.
I like that they brought everybody back. Like, I think that's a cool idea. But at the same time, it's just not funny. Well. Like, just try to be funny or something. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Larry David left the last season. Did you know that?
He did, but he came back to write this one. He wrote the finale.
Maybe he was just being salty and made it unfunny on purpose.
I don't know, but spoilers,
it's not funny. I agree.
Spoilers for Seinfeld.
That's been off the air for 20 years.
But they get arrested, and so they have this, like, they're on trial in this small town in Massachusetts, and they basically bring back every major character and minor character from the show to either watch from the crowd or just, testify
as character
against
witnesses.
Them. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're all against them, yeah.
Yeah, they're all just like, they're shitty people, and like, this is how they ruined my life in their time. Yeah. Yeah.
And so my friend was saying that because, at the end, they're like, oh, we got a year. We'll be back in a year. It's fine. So my friend was saying that, like, when it was on, a lot of people, I think understandably so, were just like, oh, they're going to come back. They're going to take a year off and season 10 is going to be in a year, which I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because that's kind of, it seems like what they're setting it up for. But, they just never came back.
Exactly.
Except for there's a one episode of Curb, which we're going to start at some point whenever we get to it chronologically, where it's kind of like a Seinfeld reunion. Do you know about that?
I watched some Curb. I find Larry David himself kind of annoying.
Okay.
Like, that, like, he's George, right? Like,
Yes.
like,
Yep.
George is Larry David. I find George, like, an endearing moron.
Okay.
Larry David is more grating to me. Like, even though I know it's in the same voice, right? Like, it's the same thing. I never found it to hit as well when it's him as opposed to watching Jason Alexander play George.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I've seen some of Curb. I think I maybe watched a season of Curb, and I know Larry David just from like being alive and being around. Like you just know his demeanor or whatever. But I'm looking forward to it. I thought I was going to like Seinfeld. I wound up liking Seinfeld a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, you started off in a rough kind of spot, but I mean that first season is
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing is that like the finale is kind of, like so right before the finale, which is like an hour. It's like 56 minutes. Like it's a very long finale. I'm just like this feels very long. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
but they had like a 45-minute clip show, and the clip show was really, really funny. Like I thought it was like it basically does what the finale's trying to do, but does it better because it's just like, hey, remember all these funny things? Like here's the funniness.
Oh yeah, they do those. I think they did those actually for like at the end of every season if you had the DVDs and stuff.
They aired probably 2 clip shows in syndicate, like just like as it went on or whatever. So like there's probably like highlight reels or whatever, but there's also just a couple clip shows in the normal run. But what I thought was interesting about the clip show was that most of the funny stuff, like most of almost the entire clip show, was from like the back half of the show. So like I think like they even do that, like whether it's not like the problematic stuff or whatever, it's like I think they also realized that the earlier stuff wasn't as funny because they're just trying to figure out like what worked. But like almost the entirety of the clip show is like seasons like 4 through 9 or whatever. So like I like that like there weren't things that like I didn't think were funny that were in the clip show. Does that make sense?
Yes, because they know that they got hot like it like
Yeah.
3 through 6 or whatever it was 7.
I think it's really funny until the very end. Like I know
Yes,
it gets like
it goes
sillier and wackier, but like
yeah.
I think it's still really, really funny at the end.
That's in the meme groups. It's very decisive. A lot of people don't like the last season because they think it like kind of went off the rails. I really enjoy it, and I think there's some great episodes in it. So yeah, I agree. But you hit the run like the prime middle
Yes.
chunk is like the good, really good parts.
Yeah, I think Larry leaves either like 8 or 9 maybe. So I think a lot of people are like 3 through 7 or whatever is like like my friend has like all these like really like hard and fast like either thoughts or what he's heard or what he's read over all these years. He's like, Simpsons is going to be good after past 9. I'm like, it's probably going to be better than you think. He's just like Seinfeld last 2 seasons are really weird. I'm just like, are they though?
Yeah.
So
no, they're not. They just like lean into it more. I agree. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we're going to try today, because instead of talking about the Endgame, which I do want to hear about the Endgame, because you watched episode 3, Young Rock starts next week. We'll cover Young Rock next week. But we are going to have like brief, not like long ass conversations, but like in a couple minutes, we're going to talk about the Batman and the Afterparty. So if you have not seen those yet, if you don't want those spoiled, I will put in the description for the episode the start and stop times for those. If you want to skip it, by all means, just go to the description of the episode, tap the button, or go to the time, like scrub to the time, and that's that. But before we get there, Joe, do you want to talk about the Endgame? Because you said, I did not watch this episode. You said, based on what we've talked about, I would probably hate this episode.
Yeah, so I'm assuming if you're listening now, it's like a week old. Hopefully you watched it if you wanted to watch it.
Well, the patrons would have heard it like, it could have been like 2 days old for the patrons. The patrons, it's still relatively new.
Yeah, so like, again, just skip to the end if you don't want to hear about this because I'm going to spoil it too. But I'm going to spoil it just to tell you what was going on. So like, okay, like we were like left off in the bank and there's like a woman in the vault. So they're like, oh fuck, what was the word that she uses? Oh, it's something so weird. It's like where there's smoke, there's fire. They say the name of an animal, and I can't forget if it was like an eagle or a falcon or what. And she's like, "Oh no!" She looks through the FBI Twitter and sees wait, and sees that this like storage facility's on fire, and it's called like like Klavkov storage facility, and she's like, you know what Klavkov is in Russian, and it's an eagle.
Ooh.
And yeah, so they go to the storage facility, find a dead body. She steals the camera, like the screens in Times Square, announces that she wants essentially Anderson Cooper to be like to negotiate with her, and they're like,
Cool.
okay, cool. Like, tell us about the falcon. I think it was a falcon. Tell us about the falcon or the ostrich. I don't know, a weird animal. So like he comes and they're like, yeah, tell us about the ostrich or whatever. That's when they figure that out. But it turns out like he murdered this girl, and like now she like gets him arrested because at the end of the last episode she got like that one governor chick arrested, right?
So she's like just exposing all these government people's crimes one episode at a time.
That's what it seems like is happening.
Okay.
But it's like, they give you these clues, and then like and there was like a lot of the backstory about how like the husband knew them. He was an agent too. They sold guns, and like how he was involved in them. He's like, here, good luck, and hands her a shamrock, like the wife, right? Who's like the detective that is like the
Yeah.
only one that she likes. And so she has the shamrock, and she comes home, and at the end of the episode she's looking at the shamrock, and she looks at her bookcase, and there's one book that was by Shamrock Publishing. She opens the book, and there's a flash drive in it, and that's how the episode ended. So that's why I was laughing, because as we were talking before, you were like, this show kind of seems like it's up its own ass, and like in the sense that like it gives you clues, and it's like, this, like, look at how smart they are, but like they're also really corny clues and things.
Like we'll get to the Batman, but there's a couple things you're describing there that are also kind of similar to things in the Batman. I'm just like, oh, okay, so maybe it's just like, it's the execution of how it is or whatever, right? So I don't know, but there's a flash drive in the Batman. There's something else. I'm just like, okay, so yeah. Fun.
Yeah, this is just wildly different feels. So I'm happy to keep watching and give you descriptions of the episode, because it seemed like you got a couple chuckles out of that one. So if you find it more enjoyable just to hear the Joe Tilder version of it,
definitely.
Perfect. I'm glad to keep you updated on how it's going.
And I am thrilled to save myself like 43 minutes a week just because I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that was the whole gist of, as you can see, that's pretty much the episode.
Well, it just kind of, it feels like it's like a Dan Brown book, right? Like it's a Da Vinci Code. Just like,
yes,
oh my God, can you
yes.
believe? And like Benjamin Franklin, like
his
built
kid.
a secret cave. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, his child that we didn't know about. Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. Do you want to talk about the after party or Batman first?
Up to you. Whatever you like, bud.
Let's do the after party.
Okay. I finished it last night.
Cool. That was the 8-episode Apple TV series that I started watching with Bob and I told you about, and you, Rachel, really liked it.
Yep.
I was so confident in like episode 6, and I'm like, I know who the killer is. And I was talking to
Who'd
like,
you think it was?
I thought it was Zoe. I thought it was the mom, like
the teacher, principal.
Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and like that was one episode that Bob and I watched together, and I'm like, I think it's her because like it's setting up that she's like so like shocked and aghast, and like it just feels like she's trying to set somebody else to take the fall for it and like make her life easier, like setting up her ex-husband or whatever.
Okay.
And it seemed like the way that they were like editing, because it also like narratively felt like that was going to be what it was, and then when they revealed the actual killer, I was just like, oh shit, I was wrong. But like,
yeah,
it
but
made
it also
all
made
the sense in the world.
Yeah, it was like slapping you in the face the whole time, right? So
Yes.
I really like the show. We talked about it on here a little bit, but I like that like each episode kind of took on a different genre or a different perspective and how it was shot, feel, vibe, score, everything. So that made me really, really happy. Yeah, when we got to like the last episode's kind of like a runaround of like, who do you think the killer is, whatever.
It's a real Hercule Poirot, like the Agatha Christie, the Kenneth Branagh movies, where it's just like
Rachel
everybody
said
get
very
in the room.
Clue.
Yep, and I'm going to explain who this is and why this is and what happened.
And why you didn't do it and why you did do it. And yes, like everybody's thing. So, yeah, it was excellent. I found it very enjoyable. I know that you and I talked that it already got picked up for a second season, and you were not very excited by that prospect.
Well, so I'm for a couple different reasons. Number one,
go ahead.
I'm curious to see, because like the premise of the show is that every episode is a different genre. So I'm wondering if they're going to continue that.
Of course.
Because I think that there are a good number of genres left, especially if you like use a different kind of animation style every year or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like that might run dry sort of quickly. But I also like, the premise of the show was that a rich person gets killed at a high school reunion. And like, you can't do that again. So if it just becomes like a Tiffany Haddish story, then like, it's better. But I'm
That's
like,
that's what I'm okay. So when we finished it, I assumed that it's now just Tiffany Haddish solving crimes,
right.
and it's a murder mystery dinner theater every season with Tiffany Haddish as the main character. And you told me that you really liked the Tiffany Haddish
Yeah,
episode.
the flashback episode I thought was really good.
I see. For me, that one didn't hit as much. But Rachel and I were talking about it, like that actually might be one of our least favorite episodes, but mostly because we watch so much like SVU and bullshit like that, and that's what I was trying to wrap my head around. Like, like how did you enjoy it so much and it
I
didn't
liked it a
hit
lot
for
because a lot
us?
of the guest people on that, like all the people, so like for the most part, in the other 7 episodes, we
Yeah,
have like 10 characters, and like that's all we're seeing, right? Like it's all the suspects, it's the people going, it's at the reunion, and I felt like it was a nice change of pace that the other episode, the flashback episode, was like all new people, and so it was new actors, new characters, all sorts of stuff.
yeah,
So let me bring up who was in that. Remember that Barbie Ferreira, who plays Kat on Euphoria, was in there. She was the one with the green hair that they thought did it. She was. It was cool to see her in something because, like, on Euphoria, she's like so depressive, and like there, it was something different. Fred Savage was nice to see.
yeah,
Reed Scott, who's the guy from Veep. I don't know if you watched Veep, but he was like her old. He's the dick detective who like also shows up at the end of the finale.
yeah.
Jimmy Tatro, who is her partner, is the guy from the first season of American Vandal. Did you guys watch that?
Oh yeah, we watched the first season and most of the second season, if not all of it. I forget. Definitely the Dix one for
Yeah,
sure.
so the broy guy who drew the dicks,
Yes, 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 yes. Him.
that
Yeah,
was her
yeah.
partner, and I love
Yep,
seeing him
yep.
there.
I recognize him, and he's like, dude, he's a real man now. That was like my
I
first
know, I
reaction.
know.
Like when I saw it, like from the time of American Vandal till now, I'm like, oh shit, he looks like a dad, right? Like,
So I like that they were able to bring people in, and it's sort of like that kind of gave me, like Bob was worried. He's like, this better lead to something because it feels like if you're just if you're like, hey, we have 8 episodes, but we only have like 7 genres or whatever. It's just like, well, again, it doesn't really fit the premise of the show or whatever, but it kind of makes sense as like a backdoor pilot into like what the Tiffany Haddish show could be, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand that, and I agree. I think
And
so.
especially if it's her and Jimmy Tatro together, like I would love that. I mean, I also love John Early, so like keep him around, please. That's also great. Like he's her partner in the modern day
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
were you sad? Did you think that the
The resolution was okay.
yes? Did you like
Yeah,
did you like who the killer was?
yes, I did. In the sense that like it all made sense, and in the last episode, they kind of did do a good job of herringing you
Harrying.
harrying you into thinking it could be somebody else when like they lay it out, all signs point that way, so it made perfect sense. I was satisfied with it. It was fun. The only problem is like you kind of get rid of one of my favorite characters, but based on how the show should go, I can't imagine that like you'd
Yeah, I
bring
don't think
back
any of the like
can come
attendees would
back.
come back, right? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would be really a stretch if they tried to do that.
Like maybe one as like a coincidence, like, oh, you're here again or whatever. But like if there's more than one, it's like, what are we doing, right?
That, and also the killer, you can always call back to the killer, and because it was
Sure.
one of my favorite characters, they could be like, "Oh, we need to like go tap his brain why he did it." You know what I mean? And then you can do that like a normal cop show, or
I think it's
whatever.
kind of funny that like I had like Ben Schwartz blinders on because I loved him. Like he wasn't why I watched the show. Like I would have watched it even if he wasn't in it. But
Oh,
like
but
he
I
was on
love Ben
Comedy Bang
Schwartz.
Bang
Yeah,
promoting it and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, like I didn't even think he could be the killer because I just like him. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like
yeah.
so I think
Which is why it was a good resolution.
yeah. And also I think like it's hard in like a murder mystery show to have like a satisfying resolution. Like on Murder Town, Murderville on Murderville, it's like it's a different thing. It's not like an ongoing like 4 or 5 or 6 hour narrative. It's just like a half an hour thing. But like it's always just like, yeah, okay, who cares? Like yeah, he did it because like he's the only left-handed suspect. It's just like, yeah, cool,
Yeah.
thanks. But like this, like actually, like there was reasoning and like it made sense and it
Oh
was
yeah.
just like it was. I think it was a well done. Like it wasn't just funny and well made and an interesting premise, but like it also satisfied. It was just like okay,
I agree. Great show. Highly recommended. You guys should go watch it, and hopefully we didn't spoil it for you.
yes. And now the Batman, which we both saw in theaters.
What'd you think?
I really really liked it.
I really, really liked it. I mean, I'm obviously very, very biased. As I was leaving, My coworkers, I told them, I'm going to see the Batman tonight, and they said, "Okay, let us know how it is tomorrow." And I'm like, "I'm just telling you right now, there's a high likelihood I really enjoy this because I'm a big Robert Pattinson fan. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
Batman fan.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much that they could do to go wrong here for me." Yeah, I fucking loved it. I think it's up there with The Dark Knight Rises as one of my favorite Batman
The Dark
movies.
Knight Rises. You like the third one the best, or just the Dark Knight?
No, sorry, The Dark Knight. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Dark Knight. I like Dark Knight Rises because it was shot in Pittsburgh, obviously. But I
Yes.
think that The Dark Knight is vastly better than Begins and Rises.
I like the first two of those. I think this is like my third favorite. I think the new one, The Batman, is too long. I don't know exactly what you would cut out. Like I felt the length. I
It's
think
long. It's long. It is.
the end kind of felt like what they give Lord of the Rings: Return of the King shit for, because it feels like the last 6 scenes of the movie all could be the last scene of the movie. I'm just like, oh right, I guess we have to wrap this up too. Oh right, I guess we have to like, but like everything's just like, okay, here's the end of the movie. So that's the one thing I'm just like, I kind of wish to like, because halfway through the movie, I'm like, I might watch this again in theaters like this week. Like I might go back and see it again. And like by the end, I'm just like, I think I'm good. Like I really liked it a lot. I will obviously buy it. I will watch it again. I enjoyed it, but I don't know that I need to see it again. Like it's not like where I liked it so much that I want to go see it again immediately. You know what I mean?
Rachel really liked it. This is one of the first movies she's ever requested to go back and see in theaters again
Okay,
before it leaves theaters. That's like a big, thing.
sure.
She says it's her favorite Batman besides Batman Begins or Batman Forever. Which one? I forget. Forever. Because she loves the shitty Batman ones too.
So she likes Riddler movies, right? Because that's a Jim Carrey Riddler movie, right? So
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't think about that. I
yeah,
don't think that it's necessarily the Riddler. She likes how cartoony
yeah.
and those how that one was. But yeah, so she's like thinks it's great. I think down the line it was awesome. Like the acting, all of them, the score is incredible.
Yeah, Mondo just put out. I bought today the vinyl because Michael Giacchino, who did the music for Lost, did it, and the
Oh,
music was
that's she told me
amazing.
this. Yep. She told me
So
this.
so much of it is that like Hans Zimmer's great, but like everything sort of sounds like the dong, like the Christopher Nolan, like the
Yes.
all
Yeah.
like all his movies like sound. Every movie sounds like that now because like that's just like how you do it. And
Yeah.
this was just like, oh no, this is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really liked it. It was a little bit different. Who was it that pointed out? Maybe John Brooks pointed it out that we all love the Batman theme so much in the Batman because it sounds so much like the Imperial March.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I don't know if it was John, but I definitely saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, like one of our friends, either Garrett or John
I think
Brooks.
it was Garrett. I think I saw it. I think I saw
Was
Garrett.
it? Yeah, it was one. I felt like it was one of the two. Like one of these two guys that we know that makes pop culture takes
Yeah.
that are interesting. Yeah.
The thing that most applies to our show that I want to bring up, I retweeted a
Go
tweet that was
ahead.
basically my sentiment, but that it's the best Batmobile of all time. Like the American Muscle, the way that like it reveals, like so I think one of the Racer Trash editors I retweeted as Too Fast this morning, where he's like, I'm thinking about seeing the movie again just to see that reveal, and like, man, it's like just the revving of the engine.
The
It's
jet.
so
It's
awesome.
it's really cool. It's really fun. Did you see that they're releasing a Lego Batmobile set, a Technic
Like in
set?
the style. Oh, okay, in the style like the Dom thing. Okay, I might have to buy that because that's awesome. It's so
Rachel
cool.
obviously wants it too. Yeah, they posted on the Lego page the other day. So yeah, the Batmobile is going to be made into a Technic set. Also, my friend just told me right before we were about to record, Dylan said that HBO Max is picking up a Penguin origin story with what's his name?
Colin Farrell.
Well, yeah, Colin Farrell's going to do a Penguin origin story like show for HBO Max.
Yeah, there were going to be two shows. I think there's also like a Commissioner
Oh,
Gordon one. One of them, and I don't remember which one. I don't remember
but he's
if
not
it
commissioner.
was.
He's like Lieutenant Gordon. Or
Yeah,
something.
I
Okay.
don't remember if it's the Gordon one or the Colin Farrell one, but one of them switched to just being about Arkham, which is the prison,
Also, would
which
be
is
fucking sick too. Yeah.
cool. Yes, which is why like because Batman had like the what they call the Rogues Gallery, like all the villains in his universe. Like it's his bench is so deep. The reason the video games I think are so cool, and they just announced today that like the next kind of in that sort of lineage comes out this October. But the reason those games are so cool is that it's just like there's like you fight against Killer Croc like once and like he just like goes away. Like it's just not like there's a
It's just
reason he's just there for
stable.
one thing. Right. Yes, exactly.
There's a gigantic and like because he's in the DC universe, you can pretty much use whatever DC villains you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
because we have like the Batman Superman crossover bullshit, whatever, right? So like You have so many awesome Batman villains. I'm glad. I'm also just personally glad that like DC finally hit one again. Like they seem to be like on a good stretch here.
Oh yeah, for sure. You mean in all the movies? Yeah.
Like we had Suicide Squad, which was good. We had the Joker, which I really liked. You have this now, and like if you use this Robert Pattinson Batman to start a new set of Batman, Superman, you know what I mean, things, and
Yep.
like you kind of keep this tone, I will enjoy it, and I think that you can rival Marvel. You have such great characters. Ben Affleck being a 50-year-old retired Batman is not going to do it for me. So just
Right.
like I'm
Well, I
over
think
that.
what's interesting is like they're doing the Flash movie. Like, did you have before you saw the movie? Did you have a trailer for the year of DC?
I don't remember because I don't look. I was playing on my phone.
There was like a 2 minute trailer that was like, go see these DC movies this year. And it was like the Batman, which I'm like, I don't need to be told to see the Batman.
Oh, we did get
I'm
we did get a
literally about to
trailer
watch
for
it.
the yes, we did get a
Yeah.
trailer. I remember that because
And
Rachel
it
and I
was
looked at
like,
each other like, cool.
yep. And it was like Black Adam, and it was The Flash, and it was whatever the fourth one is this year. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? But what's interesting, the reason I bring that up is because like the Flash they're doing is the Flash from like the Affleck Batman, like the Zack Snyder verse, and like he's a great Flash. I think he's a great Flash, but
You have the chance to do everything over.
I guess, but also like comic books you're just like Crisis on Infinite Earths was literally like all the universes meld into one because we have too many characters we need to kill a bunch off. So, it's nothing to say. Or like Flashpoint has like different, it's a multiverse or whatever, right? So like you can combine things. It's just weird to have like, oh, this is like Affleck Batman's Flash, but we have a different Batman, but we have a different this.
A different Joker, a different Riddler, and then all of a sudden you have
Yep.
the same Flash. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because now we have Joker wise, we got Joaquin if that continues. We got Jared Leto, who I don't think that's going to continue. But now we also have Barry Keoghan in the post credits, in the mid credits, or the end of the movie or whatever of the Batman. So we have at least three different like active maybe Jokers. So
There are some complaints that like he was getting his ass kicked. I saw by a lot of people, but like I really like early Batman. Like he knows he's Batman, but he didn't like rely heavily on gadgetry. Like he wasn't like gonna stab. He's not Batman in his prime yet, right?
yeah, the thing where he squirrel suits out of the building and then pulls that parachute and like the parachute gets like caught on an overpass and he like
Yes,
crashes. I'm like, that's cool. Like it's cool to see Batman eat shit.
it is. In the same sense that like this is why I really like the young Tom Holland Spider-Man. That like they're kind of figuring themselves out, and that's always more interesting than you just being like in completely dominant force, right?
Was also glad this was not an origin story because I didn't
Yes,
know if it was going to
yes,
be or not. And
same.
they kind of fake you out at the beginning when you have like that little kid. I'm like, is this Bruce? But like, it's not Bruce. Like that's modern day.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
even after they like, basically established, no, this is modern day because like he's using his cell phone or something. I'm like, but is this modern day? Because I was still like, oh, but we're gonna have like the whole like Joe Chill killing the Waynes in the alley, right? And it's like, no, we're
Yeah.
just. But I did think my friend. I don't think my friend agreed. But did you get the sense that the little kid who sees the murder is maybe getting set up to be like a Robin type character?
100%. I said, yes, this little kid is going to be Robin. When I told this to my friend Dylan, who actually was just talking about the Penguin show, he said he thinks the kid that had half the face paint on that was part of the gang is going to be Robin.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
And I was like, oh, that was interesting and a thought that I didn't have. But yes, I absolutely can see that as well.
Yeah, because there's like 5 or 6 different Robins. There might even be more. I don't know. There's a bunch of different Robins, so like you could have more than one. I know, like, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, but I think that kid will eventually be a character too, right? Like the one that couldn't beat up the guy. So
Yeah, my only other real thought about the Batman is that I think Robert Pattinson's a great Batman. I don't think he's a good Bruce Wayne, but I also think I got the impression from this that this Batman hates being Bruce Wayne. Like he just has no interest in that part of his personality.
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
maybe part of the reason I think he's a bad Bruce Wayne is because he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. So it's kind of like an acting choice to be like disaffected and like uninterested in whatever. He's just like, I don't want to do this. I want to be Batman or alone. I either want to be solving crimes, or, like not talking to anybody. Like I don't want to be like a billionaire philanthropist. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Just
he
like
doesn't want
I
to do
don't
the
want
Playboy
that.
thing at all, which is kind of cool, to be honest.
You said that you thought he's a good Batman. Do you think he's a good Bruce Wayne or no?
At the age and place that he's in, I think that he's playing the character very, very well.
Because what's he supposed to be like? Probably 25 or 30, maybe.
I would say like 25 to 27 is
Okay.
what I'm thinking he is. So like, he's kind of coming into terms with himself. He is a billionaire, but his parents are dead. He was kind of raised by Alfred, so like I can see you being like, okay, now like I have to start my own adulthood, right? Like
Yep.
and figure this stuff out. So yeah, he's kind of reluctant, but it doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, I forgot. I have one other thought to say. I was not ready for like a hot Alfred. Like, I don't think I know kind of what Andy Serkis looks like, but like he's mostly just like he's Gollum or he's like an ape or whatever, right? Like he's just.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, who's this like handsome British dude? I'm just like, oh, I guess that's Andy Serkis. Okay, but I was just like, oh,
Yeah, that's really funny.
like Alfred's like usually just like an old dude, like Michael Caine, right, or whatever.
Yeah,
but just
yeah,
like
yeah.
have him be like a hot young British guy. I'm just like, all right, that's a different kind of Alfred. All right, it works.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. I didn't think about that, but I'm glad that you brought it up.
Anything else to say about the Batman?
No, it's really awesome. I could definitely digest 15 of those. Like, give me a Batmaniverse. They should revolve the DC verse around Batman
Yep.
more than anyone else, 100%. And so,
Mhm.
like, just make 75 of these. I'm fine with it. Do it.
Definitely. I agree. We have a Patreon page on the show, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden, Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you also for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. Bonus episodes, early access to episodes, stickers in the mail, DVD pledge drive. It's all kicking off at toofast2forever.com. Go do that thing over there. We have an email address too, family@cageclub.me. And Joe, we have one email today.
Okay.
This is from the aforementioned Jason Rainey. He says, hello, Joey and Joe. How
Hello,
are you guys
Jason.
doing? I am a relatively new listener to the podcast. I thought I'd finally write in to say hello. I've been a Fast and Furious fan for a few years. I've seen some of the first films when they came out, and they didn't leave much of an impression. However, right before Furious 7 came out, I randomly decided to watch all the movies in 2 weeks. This time, they did something to my brain, and I've been hooked ever since. I wish I could remember exactly how I found your podcast. I may have been searching for another pod with a 2 or an F in the title, but once I saw the name and concept, I knew I had to give it a shot. I listened to a few random episodes, enjoyed what I heard, then started back at the beginning. It says my night job gives me a lot of time to listen to music and podcasts.
Okay.
Well, we talk a lot. We talk a ton. So plenty of time, nothing but time to fill up. I'm currently about halfway through lap 6 at the moment, I think after about 5 or 6 months of listening. So far, it's been fun to hear some of your guys' theories about the films, especially hearing how some guesses turned out for Hobbs and Shaw and F9. I appreciate hearing your passion of the series and getting to hear your guests' takes on the films. Despite my own fandom, not a lot of people I know are into the franchise, so listening to your podcast really scratches this particular nerd itch of mine. Not much else to say. Hopefully I'll have more to write about when I catch up, but before I sign off, let me give you all my current series ranking. Here are my current least to most favorites. So I got to add to the rankings tab. Going to get 2 rankings tonight, Joe. We're going to get Jason's and we're going to get our guests. That's very exciting. Number 10, the streak continues, Joe. Number 10, Hobbs and Shaw, tonight's episode. Number 9, Fast and Furious, the 4th one.
Okay.
Number 8, Fate of the Furious. Number 7, a little low, Fast and Furious 6. Number 6, Tokyo Drift. Number 5, F9. Number 4, Too Fast. Number 3, Furious 7. Number 2, the original, The Fast and the Furious. And number 1, the correct answer, Fast 5.
Beautiful.
Solid list. Solid list.
Really solid. Yeah. 6 was a little low, but it's okay.
He says, stay fast, stay forever, Jason. And then he sends in some car pictures, which we can do on a future episode.
Ooh,
and he
fun.
also includes a thing about Nicolas Cage. He says, this isn't Fast and Furious related, but since you're also Cage Club, I want to send this video. It's an animated clip from a podcast where the hosts go through a news story about Cage's outrageous past spending. Even though the article probably comes from a snarky place, the guys from the video are Cage fans, and the animation of Nick enjoying his riches is pretty hilarious. If you haven't seen it already, you can watch it here. So, Jason, I did not click that yet, but I will watch it, and I'm sending it to you now. And we
Okay.
can watch it later tonight.
Cool. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for supporting the $5 a month tier. Ride or Die. What tier is that? I should know what the tiers are called. The Crew, $5 a month. There you go. Thank you so much. Your stickers and your DVD will be on the way to you shortly if they're not already by the time you hear this. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. But again, that's all the emails, family@cageclub.me if you want to write in. If you want to talk about the Batman or the Afterparty or anything, we can spoiler or whatever. You'll figure it out. But just feel free to write in about anything. It doesn't have to be the Fast and Furious, and we'll read it on the next episode. So please and thank you. On the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. Anything you've seen in the last week?
No, I haven't seen anything.
There were two little things I think I saw. Young Rock next week, which we talked about, which is this week as... Wait, did you say it comes out on Tuesday nights or Wednesday? Tuesday nights, right?
It said March 15th is when it comes back, so whatever night that is.
So that's, as this episode hits the main feed, that's tonight.
Okay, cool.
So if you want to watch Young Rock tonight on NBC, or tomorrow probably on Hulu and Peacock and whatever. So we both really like season 1, so we'll cover season 2 as episodes come out on here.
And the Christmas show too. I liked all of it.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yes, for sure. And the other thing that I saw, which is not really news, but kind of news, is that F9 is now on HBO Max. So if you have not seen it yet, or you want to see it again, or whatever, it's out there on HBO Max.
Yeah, that's one of my coworkers watched it, and he did not enjoy F9. He came to me. He was like, I was like, "You're allowed to not enjoy it, bud. Like that's okay. Like I don't take offense to it. I didn't make."
Does he like the franchise, or does he not really care about the franchise?
He
really? Okay.
Yeah, he said he was just like very disappointed. He had the same problem that I have with 8, which is like, what is the plot? Like, why is Cypher a bad guy?
It's the Cypher problem.
Yeah, so he had a very, very, very similar problem with it, and I was like, oh, okay.
I get you.
That's what I said. I was like, yeah, I get it. And he said he really liked the brother edition, like the Secret Brother, but he was just not happy with that, so, yeah.
So if you, again, it's on HBO Max now if you have not seen it yet or want to see it again, but I'm sure that everybody's listened to this has seen it already, or they have access to it already, they rented it or bought it or whatever, so, but it's out there. It was a big banner ad when I opened up HBO Max. I was like, cool, all right, it's here. Joe, is Dwayne Johnson in F10? Have you heard anything?
No, I have not heard anything.
Answer still no then, I guess.
Right. I guess it could still no.
The final thing to do before we take a break then is to talk about the Too Fast, Too Furious minute 52. A minute I called Where's Your Big Mouth Now, Boy? Which sounds incredibly condescending.
Yeah.
Going home with me, homie.
So in this minute, the race continues. Fabio completes his turn around the barrels. Roman and Fabio pass each other in opposite directions. Roman turns around the barrels and hits the NOS to quickly catch up to Fabio. Fabio swerves into a road sign, sending it into Roman's path and making Roman spin out. And then as Fabio and Roman near the finish line, Brian revs his engine in preparation as the minute ends. So we were saying, I think you mentioned in the last episode, a race, we're seeing everybody's angles or whatever, and so, a race that is a quarter mile was much longer than 10 seconds, because we're seeing it like here, this is like maybe a quarter mile coming back, and it's a full minute, right? So it's just like taking a sweet time in this race.
Yeah, it's like you see everybody's angles and over again, different shots. Like they need to drag it out. Can you imagine if like all the races actually were 10 seconds? It'd be pretty wild, right?
It'd be funny. I mean, we're complaining about, in Fast 5 where we don't see the race, but it's like you actually want like just a 10-second race? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't want that. Would you? I don't think that'd be that much fun.
No. Like, it's cinematic, but I was just, it just goes to prove that, like, what we were talking about a while ago, that, like, I'm like, this is gonna be like a 7-minute scene. It's just like, they really, like, this is minute 3 or 4 already, right? So, like, it's just,
yeah,
there's a lot to see, I guess.
As I was watching this minute, the sign was interesting, but it gave us another mile marker. There's that sign that Fabio hits, spins into Roman's path, then Roman hits, kind of spins out.
Yeah, I have a question about that. Do you think it's more... Is Fabio a better driver than Roman's a bad driver? Because it seems like both equally credible and incredible that Fabio is able to hit it exactly how he wants it, but also Roman suffers from it so much.
I don't know, but I feel like we've seen Dom do very, very similar things with cars, right? I think it's more so just like he's a really good driver and like it's just geometry, right? He like knew it was on wheels, so he just like hits it on the right side of it and it pushes it left into the street.
So basically, you're saying that Fabio is doing something that like any good driver should do, but Roman eating shit seems a little embarrassing on his behalf.
No, because then also something like popped out in front of your car and you're kind of trying to
True.
swerve around it. So
Fair enough.
like you're doing 100, we see his speedometer, right?
Yep,
So like
yep, yep, yep,
he's
yep.
going real fast. I think it's both of them are doing good drivery things. I bet hitting the sign and knocking it into the road perfectly is way more difficult than it looks, but I think that like it's something you could accomplish if you were a good driver. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like unfathomable, like only stunt drivers could ever do this, right?
sure. But you were saying that did you have another point to make about the sign?
Yes, I did. So like it was actually really really hard to stop and read, but I stopped it and got a good read on it. The major point that I want to say is yes, there's a phone number on it,
Okay.
but there is an address on the bottom of it like that you get for like a millisecond when Fabio's hitting it or like maybe Roman is hitting it, like it's coming at the screen for like 1 millisecond.
Oh, like a street address.
Yeah, and it gives you 3290 Northwest South River Drive. So like that, then we know that mile marker of where they are.
Okay, very cool.
So they had already
Does
turned
does that fit in
around.
line with what we thought?
Yeah, that address matches the street. It's on the same street as the phone number reverse lookup that we did for the other place, Jones's Boat Dock or whatever. So
Cool.
yes, it is.
Awesome. Is there anything else to talk about before I make this phone call?
I found some other things inside Roman's car, like
Oh,
just what?
does Fabio not have Nas?
I don't think so, because I think he's just American muscle. No
That feels like
Nas.
such a disadvantage. I mean, Dom has Nas, doesn't he?
Never in the Chargers.
Doesn't he in the first race in the franchise? Doesn't he like prime as Nas?
Huh? Did he put not? You mean at the end of the movie, like jumping the train tracks?
No, no, no. I'm saying like in the first street race.
Yeah, but he's using his Mazda. He's not using the
Oh.
Charger. Remember?
Oh.
He has a race car, like a Japanese car. Remember, he has the red Mazda.
Yeah, I forgot that. Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay. I understand not wanting to like taint American muscle with like, tuner bullshit or whatever, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you're racing against cars with Nas in like a do or die, you're gonna lose your car. Like maybe do something. Like don't be that confident in your ability. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird kind of like flex, I think.
I don't know. I'm taking a wild guess that these old cars, unless they have fuel injection, if they have carburetors, I don't know that you can use NOS in a car with a carburetor system. I'm not
Gotcha.
sure,
Okay.
but just like it works differently. Like I
Gotcha.
think
Okay.
that you need fuel injection to be able to run the NOS system. I might be saying something completely wrong, but that makes logical sense to me.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you would need to do like a bunch of other modifications to update the American Muscle,
Right.
which we know that like there's always grumbles between should it have fuel injection or carburetors, and then like so if you needed that, then
Sure. Okay.
it'd be really fundamentally changing what's happening.
That tracks. Any other points? You were bringing up something about Roman. You found some other stuff in Roman's car.
No,
Blah blah
found some
blah.
other stuff in Roman's car. When I was thinking, I didn't have a really good question, but something that stood out to me about this minute that I could possibly try to work into a question is that we get the good camera flip in this one,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is very interesting and something that I never remember, but watching it 15 times today, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that like we flip upside down. Maybe a question about that, but I don't know
I
how
have
to
a
like.
question. I don't know if I love
Go ahead.
this. We'll get to the
I didn't
question
see it
in a
yet.
second.
Go ahead.
Oh, Rachel, I texted Rachel. I'm like, please keep me updated about the Batman. He said, the Batmobile. She says it's out and in stock. I just haven't dropped the $99 on it yet, so it's out now, which is cool. So that
Oh,
makes
very
sense.
cool. Nice.
So I'm calling maybe Florida Fish Seafood, Florida Fresh
It's
Seafood.
not. It's not. If you look at the link, that's not there anymore. I'm actually taking a wild guess that this number might be dead.
Well, that would make my life easier. But let's see here.
We're sorry, you have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Yep. That's what I
It's
thought.
weird that it took 3 full rings to get to that
Same.
point, though.
That's why it threw me off too. I agree. But yeah, because that fresh seafood place is no longer there. It's just like another auto body shop or something, machine shop
Gotcha.
kind of
Okay.
situation. So I figured there's a good chance that it just disbanded, but maybe it also moved. That's why I was like, I don't know.
Gotcha. So the trivia question that I was working on, do you have any other points about this, or you want to talk about the trivia question?
I would like to talk about the trivia question. Oh, there's a Corona. There's a Cuervo ad on the side of a trailer, which I thought was
Blasphemous?
no, just interesting, right? Like we see
Okay.
so much Corona everywhere. There was a Viva Cuervo one, and I was like, oh, interesting.
So I have 2 different wordings of the same question, but I think maybe about the sign that Fabio hits into Roman's car. So
Okay.
either what object does he hit with his car as he aims to slow down Roman, or what does Roman hit in the race that spins him out?
Ooh,
Because I like the idea of the inverted camera question, but like how would you frame that question? Like, what are we actually trying to... Okay.
like what cinematography is interesting about this minute? What cinematographic choice is interesting about this minute when Fabio and Roman are racing? And it would be like they do a screen wipe. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the idea that I was going for. But I don't mind this question either because I mean the main part of this minute is he hits a sign. So
Okay. So which of these wordings do you like more? Or do you think there's a third
the
wording that's
second
better?
one.
Okay.
What does Roman hit in the down and back race that causes him to spin out?
So what are 4 options? A shopping cart?
His nose.
A street sign? A shop sign on the street?
Yeah.
Or a store sign on the street?
Yep.
And then one more, because that's the right answer. Shopping cart, a store sign, his Nas, or we could just say you have Fabio's car.
Oh yeah, like I was thinking that or like a tree. But yeah,
Yeah.
Fabio's car sounds good too.
A tree. Cool.
Oh cool. Yeah, there you go.
Question, or minute 52, where's your big mouth now, boy? What does Roman hit in the down and back race that spins him out? The answer is a store sign on the street. All right, Joe, let's take a break and let's come back to talk about Hobbs and Shaw.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 229, Hobbs and Shaw. This episode is brought to you by Hobbs & Son Garage. They're an independent automotive service center featuring quality AC Delco parts, and they offer maintenance, service, and repair. Check out Hobbs & Son Garage.
Well, shout out to Hobbs and Shaw, Hobbs and Son. Oh,
See, it's a hard. That's why I was pacing myself.
Well, it's the same kind of thing where it's like we can't call it Too Fast, Too Furious, Too Fast, Too Forever, or it's the same thing. Right?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like the
it's
one
very
thing
hard.
you say. It's tough.
Yeah.
Guys, our job is really difficult. This is also not our job. Our hobby, our side hustle is very difficult. With us tonight, we have a sort of a friend of the pod, not the friend of the pod, not Melissa Lynham, but Justin Kleinman, Patreon supporter, friend of the show, has written in a bunch, listening, picks movies for us, all this different stuff. He's like, I got some friends who really love these movies, and they would like to be on your show. And so, I know that we've gotten some pictures of Justin and his crew seeing these new movies. I don't know if our guest is in those. We're going to find out very shortly. But with us tonight, one of Justin's friends from the Purple State, that's probably not a thing, from Minnesota, alongside Justin, we have Michelle Farley. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Now, are you in those pictures? Are you on the opening night crew when Justin goes to see these movies as they hit theaters?
Not as of yet. I wanted to go see F9, but I wasn't fully vaccinated yet,
Gotcha.
so we didn't go. Did finally see it. I own it. But
Cool.
Leisha was my spouse, and Justin also go see the Purge movies together.
Oh,
Ooh.
so I own a lot of movies, and like I buy a lot of movies, even like movies I don't love. It's just if I just like it or it's on sale or whatever, I'll just buy one. But I was walking by my shelf the other day, and I'm like, oh, I only own The Purge election year. Like that's a weird. Like I think it's my favorite one of the bunch, but I'm just like that's such a weird one just to own one of them. I'm like, it's not the first one. It's just like the third or the fourth one. I'm like, okay, cool.
Is that the one that came out like 2019?
I think so. That would track based on the theme of it.
The Purge election year was 2016.
Oh, okay. So whatever one
that's
came out the summer before the pandemic, Justin's like, "Who wants to go?" And I'm like, "Not me." But Alicia and Justin went off and saw it.
That's awesome, though.
I don't know. Like, I don't know why I own that. I don't know anything about it. I think it was my favorite one. I know the American Horror Story election was terrible. I hated that, but like,
No, it was terrible.
But yeah, just in case anybody's curious, in case it's a security question anywhere on some website, what Purge movie do you own on Blu-ray? The answer, election year.
That will be a great drop down. It's like Mother's Maiden Name, Purge movie you own on Blu-ray.
You know, I know that I know too many things about my boss when like I can answer his trivia questions. I'm just like, what's your favorite sport? What month is your best friend born in? I'm just like, why do I know these things about my boss?
Yeah,
no.
terrifying.
It's scary. But anyway, Michelle, welcome. Thank you for being here for Hobbs and Shaw.
I can't wait.
So, question. Did you see this movie in theaters? And if not, when was the first?
Did.
Okay, cool.
Saw it opening weekend.
Perfect. Beautiful. So what is your history with the series then? Have you been a fan since the beginning, or when did you come on board?
I definitely saw the first one in the theater back in
Okay.
2001. And I don't think I saw the second one in the theater. And then saw the third one, and I was like, what was that? And then didn't skip the fourth one, but the fifth one came out, and people were like, it's so good. And I'm like, I like action movies. Saw that one, loved it, and then have been at the theaters for every single one of them since, except
Beautiful.
for F9. Missed F9 in the theaters.
Gotcha. Well, that was, pandemic. That's the whole thing. You have an excuse for that.
Yeah.
I will say, Joe and I both love Fast Five. Like, it's my favorite one. I think it's the best one easily. But I've been listening to this podcast with Gorley and Russ where they talk about horror franchises, and they were talking about like the fifth movie and how the fifth movie, like all in Halloween and Nightmare and Friday the 13th are all like not great. And they're like, is the fifth just really hard to do? And I'm like, Fast Five. And then one of them just like, but I think, isn't Fast Five like the best Fast and Furious? It's like, it is. So like some franchises could get it right, but it is weird to think about objectively. The fifth one is the best one, but yes, it is.
So if you think about it, it's also like they at that point had sort of almost rebooted it three times.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So you sent these over to me via email, but being a fan for 20 years, can you please rank these movies for us, either from favorite to least favorite, or least favorite to favorite? However way you want, if you're going to bottom up or top down,
Sure.
Please rank these movies for us, because I'm very curious.
I think every time I watch them through, I end up changing the order.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, so right now, I really like F9, and...
Wait, so you're saying F9 is your favorite movie in the bunch? Okay, fair.
I really, really liked it.
You are the first person, believe it or not, out of 22 people who have given us rankings, including F9. You're the first person to give it number one. So you have broken new ground here.
Well, then I'll rewatch it again and be like, oh, I hate this.
How many times have you seen it? Just once?
No, I've watched it through at least twice.
Okay.
And then I just caught it on cable this weekend, and I watched the very end of it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, so I don't know. I was just really in the mood for it, and I don't know, it just kind of worked for me.
No, I get it. I did a dumb thing in scheduling the podcast, and we watched it, Joe, like 6 times in 4 months or something?
Yeah,
that was amazing.
It was a lot.
That series of podcasts, I was like,
I was just like, I don't know if this. It's too many times, so we have a skewed sort of
perception of it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so right now, F9, you're number one, and then what?
Yep, and then I'm going right to the email here because I know 'cause last night I was really thinking about this after.
I love how
got
like
home
our
from
guests
work.
take this so seriously. Like I think this is very, it's appreciated.
And I should be at work tonight too, but I actually switched shifts, so yay me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, according to my email I sent you, it's number 5,
Okay.
then number 6, number 7,
Okay.
and then twist number 3.
Okay. Ooh. Not really a twist. We love Tokyo Drift here.
When I first saw it, I didn't like it, but then when I bought the Blu-rays, I watched it again, and I was like, parts of this haven't aged well, but parts of it I really like.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you could possibly be talking about with things that didn't age well, but, yeah.
And then number 2, number 1, number 4, and finally F8. I hated F8, guys. I'm sorry.
No, we have strong feelings about it as well. We do.
I saw it in the theater, but I must have immediately forgotten it because we were watching it at home. And it looks like, where Cypher is menacing Elena.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, they're not going to kill her. Come on. And then they kill her. And I was like, did I see this movie? And I was like, did I fall asleep? Was I like, then I was legitimately like I had somehow gaslit myself that I hadn't seen it. And I was like, no, I sat in the theater and watched this.
That's like, there's a big moment where it's just like, okay. Don't know if I saw this. And then you did not rank Hobbs and Shaw, but you said in the email somewhere in the middle-ish,
Somewhere
right?
in the middle. I when we saw it in the theater, I loved it.
Okay.
But I think every time I've seen it since, I was like, ooh, less love.
So here's a question that I think Joe and I realized how to articulate sort of recently. Do you think seeing 9 has changed what you think about Hobbs? Not the character, the movie.
Yes, maybe a little bit. I haven't watched Hobbs and Shaw completely since I saw 9 the last time.
Okay.
And I think I was listening to another podcast that made this observation, that Hobbs and Shaw, for having come out in August or September of 2019, comes off as dated already.
I think it's the Game of Thrones thing in
I
large...
think that's... Yeah. So, and like the virus is called Snowflake, and maybe we all just feel different about viruses now.
I don't know if we talked about the snowflake virus in terms of like the dated nature, but that's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think we've ever talked about the name of it being like that, but you're right now that you say that. But I feel Snowflake has just become such a part of the lexicon now. Yep. But it does date that like it would be called that then, even if they don't use the word the same way. That makes sense. For a lot of reasons, I'm not a huge Kevin Hart fan. He's not in it a lot, but he's in it just enough where I'm like, yep, keep moving. Keep it moving.
I like him. I won't see a movie because of him, but I like him in movies and I like him in this. But like today, watching it today, it did strike me. I'm just like, it's weird that he's here. And I don't know what it was about this watch, but I'm just like, okay, so they're on the plane and like, they just have like, it's the moment where like after Shaw kind of betrays Hobbs and whatever, and like tries to screw him over and like tries to leave him behind. And then all of a sudden Kevin Hart's here and it's like, what movie is this? So
well, and it's the running time is just, isn't it almost 3 hours already?
No, it's like 2:16. But what's nice about this is that there's like 16 minutes of credits. It does feel
maybe
long.
That's it.
Yes,
there's a ton of credits. Yeah,
but in the theater, even Alicia and I, one of us, we poked the other person and we're like, come on, like the audacity to have him riffing on this.
Sure.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So
before we talk about this movie in particular, I have a couple questions for you just to get a sense of who you are as a fan. We know what movies you like and don't like, but are you ready for just a couple, not too many, just a couple questions about the franchise?
Sure.
First off, question number 1. Do you have a favorite character, either in this movie or in any of the movies? Do you have a favorite Fast and Furious character?
I really like Hattie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Love
she's
Hattie.
great.
Yeah, she's great.
Big fans.
When I first started watching the movies back 20 years ago, I really liked Letty.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Rodriguez has said things and done things where I'm like, you need to figure out what's going on with you. Either be okay with being queer, or be straight, or stop drinking, or do something. I'm not sure. So like that started to kind of bother me a little bit, where it's like, we get it. You don't like the women, except when you're wasted, and then you love them.
Yeah.
So, and like that kind of like flavored the character a little bit for me. Didn't love it.
Well, it's hard, and I think, she's not the only person in the franchise or any of these films who has like, comes with a little bit of baggage. And in this movie or any movie, it's hard to sort of sometimes always separate the art from the artist. But Hattie is great, though. And as far as I know, Vanessa Kirby not canceled, just an adorable delight and just wonderful and beautiful and a great actor. So shout out to her. Totally different ball game. You work in the performance art venue, that kind of space.
I do.
If Joe and I were pulling a job and we needed your help, and we're like, we need to go in this other room and do whatever we got to do, maybe lift a car, maybe steal some stuff, who knows. But we need you to distract this room of people like Roman does in Furious 7. We need you to sing a song karaoke style to either captivate or horror, like terrify, scar this room of people. What song are you singing, either a cappella or karaoke style, to get this room's attention so Joe and I can do what we need to do in the other room?
Oh, I can't really carry a tune, so it's going to have to be
fine.
horror style. Yeah. It'd have to be something from a Broadway musical. Let me think.
Ooh.
I know most of the stuff from Wicked, but I can't hit those notes.
Well, like, I can't really sing, so like it does. I did like a Mariah Carey song.
Yeah,
like sometimes
me neither.
it's so bad that it's good.
I mean, if I'm gonna go real bad, let's just say I'm gonna do Defying Gravity, and I'll just miss every single one of those notes, and they'll be like, "Stop!"
That's that's the Idina Menzel song from Wicked, right? Yes. Okay.
Yep. Yep. That's the closer for the first act.
I don't think we've gotten any Broadway musical songs.
I was
before.
thinking that we do not have
Joey?
a ton of Broadway. I don't think so, which feels like we should have more
Weird?
Broadway than we do.
I agree.
Because until last episode, Michelle, we didn't have any repeat, like no duplicates, and then somebody finally gave a duplicate. But like it feels like Nate would have done, but he did Candy Girl or Wagon Wheel. He didn't even do it feels like he's because a big Hamilton fan,
guy.
right? Yeah,
he's a big Hamilton guy.
Wow.
No, I think you might be our first Broadway. So congratulations for kicking down that door. I love it. Now the last thing, we could either do it now or at the end. It's going to be up to you. But we have a Fast and Furious character quiz where we find out, we do some multiple choice questions to find out which character in the franchise you are. Do you want to say that till the end, or do you want to do that now?
Let's just do it now.
Cool. All right. 7 questions, 6 answers per question. No wrong answer. You can either describe your answer or just let it be, let the mystery be. Question number 1, Michelle, how fast are you? Are you NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter?
Probably a Vespa.
Okay. Not very fast, but a little fast.
Not very fast, just a little fast.
Question number 2, it's coming. How furious are you? The Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale, that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer?
I'm gonna go with Kylo Ren.
Pretty angry. Okay, so a little
Pretty
fast,
angry.
but pretty angry. Okay. Michelle, we're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you manning the grill? Are you saying grace? Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
I'm probably gonna be opening the beers.
Okay. Love it. Question number 4, you've got time to kill. What are you doing? Are you grabbing a bite? Are you working on your car? Are you hanging with friends? Are you drinking a beer? Are you working out? Or are you doing work on your computer?
Probably working on my computer.
Okay. Question number 5, describe your wedding. I'm never getting married, which I know is not the answer. I hope it's not the answer you choose. Although if you want to go that, by all means, go with God. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
We got married at midnight when the law changed to Minnesota on the rooftop of a bar.
Love that.
Here. Yeah. But it really was just, besides the people who didn't realize it was real until halfway through the ceremony, and then they were like, is this real? It was just us and our witnesses and some friends because, again, it was midnight on like a Thursday morning.
Me and my partner, and us and our families. Which one of those do you think feels more reflective of that wedding?
Man, neither of us had any family there. Not because we're estranged or anything. They just, like, again, when you're getting married at
Spur of the
midnight on a
moment, kind of.
Thursday,
Yeah.
it's
So
sort of
maybe
like,
just me and my partner. Just keep it nice and intimate.
There you go.
That's where like this quiz kind of fails, because like open-ended would be better, but like we got to assign points somehow. So question number 6, you just won the lottery. What are you buying? Your own garage, a private plane, I'm gambling it all away, my childhood home, a fleet of cars, or a new life?
Definitely wouldn't gamble.
Windfall of money. Where are you going? What's your shopping spree going to be?
It'd probably be electronics or crafting supplies or books.
What I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like my own garage is kind of like whatever kind of workspace.
Yes, it was.
right?
Okay,
Yeah, it
let's do
was
my
like
own garage
a
then,
warehouse
something.
kind of situation. You can use
Yeah.
the garage to make a crafting barn if you'd like.
That would
Like,
work
you
for
don't
me.
have
Let's
an
do
auto
that.
mechanic, but you're the auto mechanic of crafts or whatever,
There you
right?
go.
So
Yes,
cool.
exactly.
That was always the exception. Like you use it to make a storefront.
Yes. And question number 7, and I think as a bartender, this can be a very interesting question. The final question to decide it all. What is your drink of choice? Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or just, Joe's getting a drink. Just get me one of whatever you're having.
Let's do the Belgian ale, but honestly, as of January 1st, Leisha and I decided to take a break from drinking, so...
Do you want to go water or you want to go Belgian ale? Or different answers, depending on who.
Let's do Belgian ale.
All right. Michelle, I am happy to report that you are Mr. Nobody. You are the Kurt Russell character, Mr. Nobody. People see you as a bit of a mystery, and you love it. You've got more going on than anyone realizes, but your greatest joy comes from executing a plan perfectly and leaving everyone around you wondering how you pulled it off. You're great at keeping secrets, but you're always willing to help those who can help you. You don't have a family. You don't have family, so to speak, because letting people too close might dissipate some of your mystical aura. But you'll settle for friends, and you drive like the wind blows.
I like it. I could see that.
Cool.
Well, I mean, like when we used to do the Harry Potter quizzes back before the author of Harry Potter became so much worse. I was always Slytherin, so that fits.
I can't tell you how many times I took the Pottermore quiz because I kept getting Hufflepuff, and I'm just like, I'm not a Hufflepuff. And then eventually at some point, I'm just like, no, I'm a Hufflepuff. I just got to give it and I got to accept it.
Get a little, yeah, I did that too because I was like, I'm not sure I want to be a Slytherin. And then, you just got to move into it and be like, it's chosen.
Got to embrace it. Yep.
Yeah.
Slytherins are just not, they're not evil. They're just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's what
man,
I go with.
Rachel had to tell me that I was a Slytherin, and when I accepted that fact, my life became a lot better. Like, it just made a lot more sense. Like, she was like, look, she had to sit me down one day and be like, you know that you're Slytherin, right?
It's this. You have to be okay with it and move on.
Yeah.
I'm always of the mind, and I don't know if I've said it on this podcast or not, but like anybody who says they're a Gryffindor is not a Gryffindor.
I tend to agree with that, yeah.
Everybody wants to be a Gryffindor. I wanted to be a Ravenclaw. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be a Ravenclaw. I kept getting Hufflepuff, and I'm like, I guess I'm a Hufflepuff. Which realistically, I'm a Hufflepuff. Like, there's no bones about it. I'm a Hufflepuff, so,
The very last time I took it, I ended up getting a Ravenclaw, so then I told everybody I was a Slytherclaw.
Like that. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Let's bring it back. Let's slide through the Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, from Harry Potter world over to the Fast and Furious Supercharged ride to talk about Hobbs and Shaw. See that transition? That's you can't make this stuff up. It's beautiful.
Nice.
All right, Michelle, Hobbs and Shaw, the floor is yours. I don't remember if this is a movie that you picked or just one that we were going to go with or whatever, but what do you love about this movie, Hattie? What do you hate about this movie, Dinkley? Anything? Just hit us with your thoughts, your overall thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw.
I'd have to confirm this with Leisha, but this might have been the last movie we saw in the theaters before.
Ooh.
Well, wait, did Hobbs and Shaw come out before or after Spider-Man Far From Home?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I don't know.
I have the phone next to me. I'm going to look it up. Leisha had surgery in January of 2020, and so we were already kind of not going out.
Okay.
And so we were like, no movies or anything. And then obviously we thought we'd be back to movies, and then everything shut down in March.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbs and Shaw came out like 5 weeks after Far From Home. Far From Home, June 26th, and this was August 2. Yep.
Yep. So this is the last movie I saw because I didn't see anything in the fall, which is kind of weird. Then watch, I'm gonna be like, no, I saw it, but I really don't think I just like how 2019 is just a blur for me now.
Well, there's the before times, and then there's since we've had COVID, right? So like it's the whole like I don't remember when things were before. I just know it was before when we were allowed to go out freely.
Yes. So we saw it opening weekend, and we saw it in this very small theater right on the river in downtown Minneapolis. Okay. And it was a raucous screening. Like, people were screaming and clapping, which is kind of fun. But even we thought it was like, this is it, because even when you're watching it, it feels long. Like, by the time they're parachuted into that mansion and are getting more equipment to go to Chernobyl, you're like, where is this going? And then they get to Samoa, and you're like, okay, so this is the end. No, it's not. Okay, let's keep going. I just liked the choreography. I liked the first real big fight where Vanessa Kirby fights off Hobbs. I don't know, like the beginning where it's like, I thought it was interesting how like they have the split screen between.
Yes.
And I wonder if that was because they needed equal billing. They're like, well, we have to have the exact same amount of time.
Well, one thing that we talk about, and we've talked about on here before with regards to this movie, is that the MPAA, which I think is now just the MPA, only allows you to get one fuck in a movie. Yep. And so we're always curious who gets it, because it's like kind of like an honor or whatever, like, who has the privilege of saying that. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing where people are counting punches landed and punches hit and blah, 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 and all this different stuff. And it's just like, I can't let him, either it's intentional or a nod to that or like just a joke or whatever, but it feels like, no, we both want to get it. How can we do that? Oh, we'll say it at the same time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then like I love Idris Elba as Brixton. Mm-hmm. And like I love his remote control motorcycle. And we have some friends that got into the Fast and the Furious movies during the pandemic. We have a text thread. Leisha was away from their phone for, I don't know, like 40 minutes and came back to like 80 plus text messages. And it was just the three of us talking about Fast and the Furious movies. Well, because I was trying to explain the timeline to my friends because they were like, wait, they were like, but Han died. And I was like, okay, Okay. They hadn't gotten to see Hobbs and Shaw yet, so I kept sending them the motorcycle gifs where he slides onto the truck.
Yeah, that's a great. I really like that.
Yeah, I love it.
How do you think the action, because I know that like this movie is sort of like in the middle of your rankings, but how do you think the action in this compares to the other movies? Do you think it like stuff like that holds up against anything else in the series? Or do you think still overall it's just kind of like in the middle?
I think it's kind of in the middle.
Like, so it's cool for this movie, but not necessarily cool for a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, but you'd almost need more cars. Because, I mean, like, you really don't even get cars until they're on Samoa, and they have all those trucks.
How do you feel about this being in like the Fast and the Furious? Do you feel like it feels like a Fast and the Furious movie or not? Like a lot of times we talk to people and they're like, it doesn't feel like it. I know you just said that there's not a lot of cars, but like, did you have that feeling?
I think now after seeing 9, it doesn't feel quite as much into the series. And it definitely feels like there's the 9 movies, and then there's Fast and the Furious brings you Hobbs and Shaw.
What I saw for the first time in that regard is that on Letterboxd, one of the alternate titles is that it's listed as Fast and the Furious 8.5, which I'm like, that's like a real slap in the face. Like, it's not listed, like, that's like an alternate title. But I'm like, that just like reminds me of like Lion King 1.5, where it's just like, it's like, this is a straight to video thing that wasn't good enough or whatever. Like, obviously this was in theaters, but it's like, I don't know where that was called Fast and the Furious 8.5, but that feels like a real slap in the face to this movie.
But the description is like immediately after Cypher, or the after events of fighting with Cypher. So it's like, so I mean, I could see why they were like, well, yeah, it's right in between, right before 9. I
mean, it also like in the Lion King sense, like aren't Timon and Pumbaa kind of like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern and like to the Macbeth of Lion King, and so like it's just like, hey, it's these two characters that you know from that, they're doing their own thing, so like let's follow them first. So kind of, but still weird.
You know, and then like Ryan Reynolds, who I really like, even that starts to feel a little bit where you're like, okay, yeah, like just the bit where he's like, he can't tell the voices apart on the phone.
Yep.
It's funny, but you're also like, let's keep it moving. We've got a deadly virus to track down.
Joe, how did this play for you this time? Because we were talking like I think we both liked Fate of the Furious a lot last time, sort of out of nowhere. But like, how did this play for you this time through?
It was really interesting watching it after we had just come off watching the 2 Transporter movies, I think. Or sorry, the 3 Transporter movies, because I found great joy in the scene where he like fights inside the apartment.
Yeah.
Like inside Hattie's apartment, just coming off those. Like I was like, oh, like, because I think at one point he picks up like a toaster or something and like hits the guy with the toaster. And I was like, oh, this is so transportery to me. And that was like really awesome.
But isn't it a toaster that also has like 4 slots? And I was like, does Hattie just eat a lot of toast?
I have a 4-slot toaster too, so I mean, don't judge.
Okay, I'm just saying that's like we assume she lives alone, so that's a lot of toast for one person.
That's true. Sometimes, you know, like I don't think I've ever used 4 at once. I have used 3 at once, but like, yeah, 4 for a single person is a lot. So you're not wrong.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Yeah, that was like my main takeaway, but I still like as I was watching, I was like, this movie's just still so much fun to me. Like
it's a lot of fun.
I haven't gotten like bored of that yet. Like the stakes, obviously they're saving the world, but like it feels lesser than like them. Like I get it, Hattie has a deadly virus and it'll kill everyone, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of tongue in cheeky. So like, yeah, I still have a lot of fun watching this one.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as serious as some of the other movies.
Well, and like that's the thing, like, you know, you didn't really officially rank Hobbs and Shaw in your list. You sort of have a sense of where it goes, but like a lot of the people, especially recently, and I don't know if it's because of F9, it's why I sort of asked before, but like a lot of people just haven't been ranking this one either because they don't like it or they don't know where to put it or it doesn't feel like a Fast and Furious or feels insignificant. So like, you know, I like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun, but it does feel like there's a backlash, at least, you know, anecdotally based on who we've been talking to about these movies recently.
Well, then somebody asked if they should see it, and I'm like, you know, it's fun, but, I mean, if you've never seen any of the Fast and the Furious movies, do you have to see them? No, you don't have to see anything. It's not, you know, there's not going to be a test, it's not a requirement. They're fun. If you like action movies, they're fun.
I thought about something this time that I never thought about before, is that in the opening diner scene where it's Hobbs and his daughter, and they're talking about how good she's doing at school, blah, 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 he name checks, he's like, and that report you did about the old man in the sea, that's really good. And I'm like, are they trying to tie this in thematically? Because like the old man in the sea is about like pride and endurance and like it kind of is on brand, but also like it kind of applies to like every movie and every story. And like,
yeah,
I never spent time thinking about why, if it matters, because like he's just like, oh, your math is good, your this is good, and that old man in the sea, but like they call attention to it in a way, and I'm like, I don't know why. What are we doing?
The Nietzsche things got me this time on this very similar note. I was like, really, guys? You know, like,
I just love the family tree where there's just a question mark for the child's mother.
It's a beautiful tree with 3 leaves.
Yep.
2 have names, and there's a question mark.
And then he's staying. Well, wait. Then he leaves her with. Is it a friend or is that? Because he calls her the aunt, and that's who she's with when he calls later.
we had this question before because he says like you have no family, so we're thinking it's like a proxy aunt kind of situation,
Like a friend
like,
who's just close, so that they call
Yes.
aunt. Yeah, family of choice stuff. That's probably
Yes.
that's kind of what I was thinking too. But you're like, because she's never met any of his, brothers or mother. Because at the end, and I will, even though it was like this movie was not as good as I remember, the post-credit scene where she meets the grandmother, I'm like, oh,
Pretty sweet.
Joey didn't ask it to start this one, but we've been talking about
Oh, I forgot the question. Yes,
Family.
please hit us with this. Yes.
because we're doing like the Shaw Brothers lap. So we've been talking, like different family members and things like that. If you could add somebody's family, like a family member to a character in this movie, doesn't matter who, can be as wacky and zany as you want. Like if you wanted, Dinkley's mom in this, right? Who would you add to this? And if you need a second, we can let Joey answer first.
I miss Owen. I liked the Owen character.
Yep.
He's definitely a good answer for sure.
At some point, he's like, well, my brother died. And it's like, wait, Owen died?
We've tried to suss out the dialogue and the explanations and like the descriptions of things in this movie a lot, and nothing really. It's like just like the aunt thing. Like, are you using aunt symbolically? Or are you? Is it actually your brother, or like like a brother in arms? Like what are we talking about here exactly? And we don't know.
Well, and especially since Owen was just there to rescue the baby in the 8th movie.
Yeah, we don't see him die for sure.
No, we don't. Did they just not? Like, was Luke Evans too busy?
My answer for the last movie was that I wanted to see Hattie, because like in the last movie, Helen Mirren's just like, you took everything I hold dear. It's like, you didn't take Hattie. We don't know that Hattie exists yet. Like, you can't say that you like, so it's just this weird retrofit. But my first thought for here too was also Owen, because I'm just like, Owen would fit in perfectly here. A movie about family. What are we doing?
Yeah, there's another Shaw running around in this series. Like, where is he? Vanessa Kirby and Jason Statham could be siblings, but they're clearly 21 years apart in age.
Yes.
But then the flashbacks, they're maybe 3 years apart.
Yeah, also true. Yeah.
Every actor in Hollywood plays like a little younger than they are, but still, even if you're like, okay, so he's playing 40, then like, is she also playing younger? And like, they're still 11. Like there's no way to make that math work, right?
It doesn't. Like I said, I mean, like, I have one of my brothers is 8 years older than me, so like, you can have an age gap in a family.
Yep.
And Leisha's siblings are, I think, 12, 14, and 16 years older.
Oh, that's a big age gap.
That is actually, but that's also a blended family, so it's...
Okay, makes sense.
But still, like, the Shaws can be a blended family, because, like, Helen Mirren's
That's
just a
true.
criminal.
Good.
It's not like, it's not like she's like like traditional family values or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, she could just have like people, kids like of all ages, right? So who knows?
Well, yeah, and then in F9 we've got all the young family there too.
Yeah. Joe, who did you think about? Because my first thought was Owen. I'm trying to think if I can think of another one, but who did you want to see in this movie?
I have a hard time believing that none of the Hobbs brothers have children, and I want to see a whole gaggle of Samoan children running around and have a moment where The Rock's daughter not only meets her grandma, but also meets all of her cousins.
Love that.
That's a good point. And like, would no other sibling have left ever? Like, they all just still work and live in that family compound, and maybe they do.
And maybe they do, but also, like, it's hard to imagine he's the only one of them that had a child, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You're right, that does seem strange. That there wouldn't be at least another generation, like another child, one other child at least running around.
one. Yeah, anyone.
Like, I just watched this week, as I'm watching through the horror franchises, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 5. What's it called?
Nice.
No, 6. What did I watch this week? I think it was... Jesus, I think I watched 6. I think that's what I watched. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
This in forever. Oh, nice. I went through in college at that point. We watched them all in a weekend, which I don't recommend. It was weird.
The first 4 are awesome, and then 5 and 6, not so great. I've never seen New Nightmare. I've heard really good things. That's next week. The reason I bring this up is because in Freddy's Dead, they flash 10 years forward into the future, because Joe, as you know, I'm sure, as listeners know, the reason Freddy Krueger is doing what he's doing is because these kids bullied him and killed him or whatever in high school, so he's going after their kids. Not in high school. He was older, but like he's getting vengeance on the children of these people who killed him.
Okay.
And so we flash forward in the future 10 years in 6. This entire town, there's one kid left. Every other kid has killed themselves or has been murdered by Freddy. And so this whole movie is just like adults and like there's no kids, but like there's a reason there's no kids around. Like when we go to Samoa and there's just no one there, it's like, why? What? No, where are, like, how is it? Like, this isn't like what life looks like. There's like people of all ages around, right? It's not just it's not just like WWE ripped people and like one Samoan mom, right? So
that's it. Well, then like you assume that she would also have siblings.
Here's what it is, I guess. So I don't know.
No, so I loved Hattie's apartment in that fight scene. I was like, can we just get a tour of that apartment real quick first?
Oh, beautiful apartment.
Like, I need a floor plan so I can look at it, just see what was happening.
Like hyper modern, looked very IKEA.
Yeah, right in the heart of London. That's probably what, $5,000 a month right there.
Probably.
This is super random, guys, but you and I, or whoever controls the Twitter account for your for the podcast, we had a Twitter interaction when you probably summer of 2020 when you did Blue Crush.
Okay.
And you were talking about how the maids wouldn't know the professional surfing rates.
Oh, yes.
My union is also represents hotel workers for the most part.
Oh,
actually, the majority
cool.
of hotel workers.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I forgot that because I think Justin introduced us sort of somewhat, or like told each other about each other, and so you've been following us on Twitter for a while, and so I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, Blue Crush is still an amazing movie. Saw that in the theater too. That was one of the ones where that was before I had air conditioning, and so I just showed up at the theater, and I was like, what's the longest thing starting in the next half hour?
Very well played. I love it.
And they were like this, and I'm like, even better.
Yeah. Obligatory shout out that Racer Trash did Blue Kush. And also, by the way, I don't think we said it on here, but all of Racer Trash's things are available for download on the Internet Archive. So if you want to, any of the things we talked about on there, they're all Internet Archive. But they did a whole like remix of it, trippy weed inspired, whatever, called Blue Kush. So what else about this movie? I think other than Dinkley, is there anything that you hate or even just don't like?
I don't like Kevin Hart, as I mentioned before. He just has said too many homophobic things, and so he shows up and it's like, ooh, right, you're gonna kill your son for acting gay.
So then here's I guess a different way to ask that is it just like the movie just doesn't do it for you in the way that other Fast and Furious movies do? Like, why is this ranked lower? It's just not as exciting as like Fast 5 and 9 and whatever.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that. I just remember when Hobbs Shaw came out on DVD or Blu-ray. You know how it's like on Tuesdays they're cheaper at Target or whatever. I happened to be at Target that day, and I saw it, and I was like, should I buy it? And I was like, I just don't see myself sitting here and being like, you know what I need to watch tonight?
Right.
Hobbs and Shaw.
I get that.
But I own the other 9 movies, so that says something right there, because like we have a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays, so there's stuff that I'll probably never watch again. I own Argo, because it was cheaper to buy the DVD than go to see it at the film, at the movie theater.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
No,
when I watched
Argo.
it. Oh, it's so bad. The book's really good, though, actually.
Best Picture winner, Argo. I will have you respect
Did
the
it really
Academy.
win Best Picture?
Yeah, it won Best Picture.
Did I not watch the Oscars that year? I don't know. Whatever. I remember watching it and being like, this was bad.
Same. My sister and Rachel both were like telling me that it was a really good movie, and I watched it and I was like, are you guys broken?
And again, how it's like, they're like, yes, because like, he's like, well, this person can blend in as anything. He's also Ben Affleck. And you're like, no, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Anything else of note about Hobbs Shaw, good or bad, questions, anything like that? Or F9, if you want to mention anything about F9, because it's still sort of new in the consciousness.
I guess that for also the Hobbs and Shaw, I feel like it's kind of weird that they have like sort of a flirtation between Hattie and The Rock, or Hattie and Hobbs.
Mm-hmm.
When they kissed, I was like, this is just as hot as if Jason Statham and Vanessa Kirby kissed. Like, there's nothing there. Like, what is happening?
We hoped for a while, because like as representative as this franchise is, the one thing that's really kind of lacking in is queer representation. And they have a couple characters. Like Video Game, they added a non-binary character in the Spy Racers TV show, and like they're slowly getting better in that kind of thing.
They are, yeah. I've watched some of the cartoon, but Justin thinks it's funny because Justin's son and I have the same opinion of the cartoon. Where I'm like, could I just watch the movies instead?
Oh yeah, that's a running joke on the show too. That just how much Justin's son hates
Hank.
Yeah, how much Hank hates Spy Racers.
I was like, well, I'm gonna watch it, and then like a couple hours later, I was like, I agree with Hank, and Justin's like, no, come on, just. And then Justin was like, we'll skip to this point in the season, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So
there's some good stuff. It's just like it's not it's not made for us, right? Or just
no, it's not.
It's made for a very specific audience, which theoretically would be Hank, but maybe Hank's got a sophisticated palate. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe he's just not into it.
So for a while, given the lack of queer visibility, we're like, what would actually be really cool is if someone who's like traditionally super hyper masculine, like The Rock, came out as like gay, because we know he has a daughter, but we never meet the mother or all this stuff, whatever. And we're just like, oh, he just has a boyfriend or a husband or whatever. We don't know
and you don't see him paired with any love interest at all.
Exactly. And so we had this theory for probably 2 years, right? And then we go see Hobbs and Shaw, and they kiss, and we're just like, oh, don't do that, because again, if it was passionate, if it was sexy, that's one thing, but it doesn't, what's going on?
Yeah, it doesn't fit. And even she's just like, he's like, you want to do that again? And she's like, no, I'm good.
Because they're both beautiful people.
They are.
It should be sexier or something, but it's not, I don't know.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And Vanessa Kirby, she was in The Crown, and she's amazing in The Crown, and she was in that small MD that I saw on streaming, and
The thing with Catherine Watterson, where it's old-timey and they're a lesbian couple?
Yes. But then what's it called? It's called At the Start of the World, or what is it? Okay.
The World to Come.
That's it. So, and that was good. And
Yeah.
it was worth, and that's worth watching if you haven't seen it.
Yep.
It's intense though. It's got you got to deal if you can't handle Casey Affleck, then don't watch it because it's
Yes.
The Vanessa Kirby The Rock thing gets me because I kind of get what it's doing for the story, but also not. And now that The Rock has come out and said I want a really good just walk off into the sunset ending for the second Hobbs and Shaw, and it's kind of hinting he's only doing another one and then it's going to be over. It's so what benefit would it have to have them together? It's more of a joke that he kissed Jason Statham's sister more so than them being an actual functional couple.
Well, and it's also back to when they're on the plane, and he's like, if she wants to climb this mountain, that's,
yeah,
I'm fine with that. Ew, she's right there.
I know, but there's something a little bit positive or because he's describing her not she's oh my god, she's so beautiful, she's so hot, she's so sexy, whatever. She's she's competent and confident, powerful, and blah blah. He's complimenting the right things. And it feels like he's got respect for her, but it doesn't seem like he's into her, right? So it's this. It's unusual for an action movie, but cool for a respect kind of thing. But it's just it would be cool if just oh, also she's gorgeous. Even he if we set it up, I don't know.
And it doesn't even seem like he is acknowledging that she's attractive, but it's not even that he's attracted to her. It's well, if she wanted to, I guess I could do it, But that doesn't. I'm not getting that he's not yes, this is going to happen, That it just feels really tacked on, and and again with the how long that movie is. I mean, that's only a couple of minutes, but they could have cut that right out. Been fine with it. So at the end too, and this is how I got my aunt to watch this movie. Although I'm actually sure she watched it. I'll have to ask her, because I was telling him how at the end he's I'm well, one, he puts a shirt on after he's been running around, and she's like, "What, is he cold?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure. Not the point of the story." Keep going. They hook all the trucks up, and they're yelling, and then they all just release the truck. The ending with the truck chasing on Samoa is an amazing ending. Because it's just funny and over the top, and we're he's holding the truck and the helicopter.
Yeah, he's the link between them. I agree.
Somebody complained that was a ripping off the Avengers, one of the Avengers movies in some capacity.
Oh yeah, no, Captain America does the same thing. He holds a helicopter, and he holds the roof of a building. He holds a helicopter, and so he does the same thing for sure.
Yeah. But my aunt was like, "Well, that sounds interesting." I'm it's yes, that's exactly how I would describe the end of Hobbs and Shaw. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, she hasn't seen any of the movies, but every time I show up on a podcast talking about it, she'll listen to it.
That's cute. Well, hello to your aunt.
Hello, aunt.
She's good. I don't know if she'll listen to this. She might. Like I said.
There's an hour of us talking before you join about like the Batman and stuff, so there's even more. So
Oh man, I'll have to listen. I haven't seen the Batman yet. I want to go see it.
That's great. It's great.
Is it good? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was 3 hours
We
though.
really liked it.
It's.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think these movies are long,
I can't do a 3-hour movie. I can't.
Joe, anything that you saw in this movie for the first time? Any new thoughts you had? Any new notes?
No, I mixed them in as we were talking.
I have one other thing that I'm pretty sure we've talked about, but I had a new sort of thought about it. But so in this movie, after we go to Samoa, Hobbs is talking to Jonah, and he's talking about like, oh, like the business is doing really well. And Jonah's like, yeah, there's people all around the world who want our cars, like, London and Rio and New York. And I'm like, so these are all places that the family has been to before.
Yes.
And I'm thinking one of two things. I think the angle that we talked about in the past was they're either supplying the family or the villains, either way, with like these cars. Like, oh, there's going to be a showdown in New York, whatever. I think we've talked about that. Maybe we haven't. I don't know. But the funnier thing that I was thinking about, I think is funnier today, is that instead of that, like they're not at all involved with like the family like doing a heist in Rio or like Cypher and doing the zombie cars in New York. They're not involved with that at all. Well, what they are taking advantage of is that all these crazy action stunts happening in New York or wherever, all these people are just like, I need a tuner now. Like, I need a cool car now. And they're like, we got you, man. So
we know who to call.
I think that's kind of funny that like, it's not like they're directly involved in the crime, but they are directly profiting off of it. So I think that's kind of, maybe just a coincidence. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, then there's the weird thing where it ties into the Italian Job, maybe.
Yeah.
I just watched the Italian Job again for the first time in like a decade or so, and I was like, this holds up.
Joey's not a fan. I love it. I think it's still a ton of fun, and now with it being reinvigorated by this, but Joey's not the biggest fan of the Italian Job.
That's fair.
Huge. It's awesome for me though, and now that like I watch Transporter, I just see Jason Statham doing transporter-y things and everything. So like, just fucking put them all together for me.
That would be fine.
I wish there was a way that we could just make the mashup movie not like Racer Trash style, but just have like Jason Statham be like, I'm the Transporter, I'm Owen Shaw, I'm Deckard Shaw, whatever else characters. From Handsome Rob from the Italian Job, and just like push them all together.
I'm sure there's a really good supercut like trailer on YouTube. Like, I don't know if we need a movie, but like we definitely need like a Statham connected universe where like it's all of his action scenes and he is all the characters. Because like in all these movies, he's just playing Jason Statham, right? It's just like with a different name or whatever. So
yeah.
Have you guys seen Spy, where he's with Melissa McCarthy?
Love Spy. We didn't watch it this
I haven't seen it yet.
It's awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
And Joe, get ready just to bask in your glory here. This is called This Ain't No 10-Second Race, a.k.a. Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for You. So this is where we go on Twitter.com, a.k.a. the Bird app, and find anybody who's tweeting about the Fast and Furious that we don't know. And we tweet at them, Boy, Do We Have a Podcast for You, and link them to the show. And hopefully they listen to it, they respond to it, whatever.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah.
Michelle, what you're not privy to, unless you listened to the episode that just came out, was that Joe hit a home run in a way that we have very rarely, if ever, hit a home run. Because this game should be easy. Not easy. But Joe hit a slam dunk, grand slam, whatever sportsman, touchdown,
Yes.
game-winning goal. Happy to see you, right? Just whatever you want to say, the golden goal. He did amazing last time. So we're going to look back at last episode's tweets to find out who scored points, hint Joe, and then we'll do this episode. So I found Shetty13 or Ashwin Shetty at Shetty13 tweeting at Vin Diesel. F10 and 11 storyline could and should incorporate the transporter stories and the Italian Job. Joe, what you were just talking about. Seems like they could serve as Deckard, Shaw, and Cypher's origin stories. Fuel for thought. And I said, we lost our minds when Shaw said in Hobbs and Shaw that as Minnie was from a previous job, having just watched a Transporter series. We'd love for Frank to be the same guy too. Boy, do a podcast for you. And of course not. 0 points.
They just announced Jason Momoa is going to be in the...
Mm-hmm. Are you excited about that?
I was like, that's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. I'm going to skip Joe because there's just a lot going on there. We'll get there. But our guest last time was Josh of Whole Lot of Wolves.
Yes.
And Josh found Eric Goldman at the Eric Goldman and Jim Vivoda at Jim Vivoda. Eric Goldman is talking about, I hope we get an amazing tell-all documentary about all the drama behind the scenes in the Fast and Furious movies. And then Jim said, for a series all about family, they sure seem to fight it out in public all the time. It does seem like they've split into Team Vin and Team Rock, which means the only recourse now is Fast and Furious Civil War. And we said, it seems like F&F Civil War would be the perfect end to this incredible franchise. Boy, to the podcast for you. Again, great tweet, great find, 0 points.
That would actually be a pretty good movie. I would watch that.
That'd be amazing. But then, Joe, you found Emily_Fast Saga, FR, at eFast Saga, who in her bio is like, I love Team Paul Walker, Team Chad Lindbergh, all this different stuff. Emily says, some people make me laugh. They were never there for Chad, and overnight, boom, he pops up out of nowhere. He pretends to be a Jesse fan and Fast and Furious fake fans. Basically, I'm a big fan. I followed from 1 to 9. I've always been there for Chad. It's my Jesse, me. I'm a real fan. 100 emoji.
Yes.
And we said, we love Jesse too. We've been there since the beginning, right there with you. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And Emily liked it. Emily retweeted it. Emily responded to us a couple times. Emily followed us. Emily went and liked about 15 of our other tweets.
Yep.
Nice.
So, Joe, you get 1 point for the like, 2 for the reply, or the retweet, 5 for the reply, another 5 for the follow, so that's 12, and I'll give you another 3 for the, because again, once you went down that rabbit hole,
bananas.
you get 15 points, which
that's fair. I think that's fair.
Almost insurmountable. I had almost caught up to you, and now I was only 2.5 back, and now I'm 17.5 back.
That's fair. That works for me.
You have 63 points, Joe. So you had 48 points before, and Emily got you 15. So like, just it was a huge. You hit the Nas.
100%. I think I found my honey hole. I hope you don't steal it, but I got another hot one tonight, and I hope that it works out just as well.
All right. Well, first, Michelle, can you please read your tweet? You sent it to me, so I have that ready, but please read who it's from, read the tweet, and how you would like us to customize it from our account.
I don't know if you really, since they're talking about the Newcomers podcast, which I also love.
Oh, they just announced, Lauren and Nicole are going to do the Marvel movie, so that's starting now.
They just started. The first episode of the Marvel movies season dropped yesterday. And for the previous season, since Lauren Lapkus was out on maternity leave, they had John Gabris on, and they did all of the Fast and the Furious movies. And I'm a little ashamed to say how many times I've re-listened to that season of podcast now.
They are both very funny ladies, and they're great movies. I love Lauren.
Yep.
I like Nicole, but I love Lauren, so.
Yeah, because John Gabris is funny, too. He's on a lot
I
of
love
weird
Gabris.
stuff.
Gabris is great.
So it's a tweet, but it's about a couple that's in the hospital to deliver their twins. So they're probably pretty busy. Oh, yeah. So it says, Newcomers Pod. My wife is in the hospital to deliver twins. We've been watching the Fast movies to listen to the pod and have seen through 8. Good luck for us. Hobbs and Shaw and F9 are on the hospital TV.
Love it. So how do you want to respond to Owen McGuire?
Oh, I don't know.
Owen Shaw McGuire.
Owen Shaw McGuire.
You have to ask them, did you name your baby Brian by any chance?
Well, it's twins, so.
Oh, did you name your babies Brian and Dom by any chance?
Oh my god. They're gonna be like. Yeah, and then the picture is presumably his wife pointing at the screen.
And even though she's got a mask on, she looked like that's one of the happiest faces I've ever seen in a mask. Just like
True.
Look at how happy her eyes are.
Yeah, she does. She's definitely smiling with her eyes. Hopefully it was a good experience all around.
And hopefully Tyra, wherever Tyra is, she's happy that someone else is smizing.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, did you by any chance name your babies Brian and Dom? Because if you did, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Yeah, that's funny.
Perfect.
Joe, I found one, but please hit us with yours.
Mine is from Haddam. I'm going to butcher this. I'm sorry, Haddam.
We already got the first name wrong.
Hamden.
Yeah, the town you live in almost.
Almost. Haddam is the town that Adam lives in. So it was Adam, Hamden, Haddam.
So this is a Connecticut first name, no matter what.
Yeah. At Amir, at Alathir88. As a biggest fan, I'm begging Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson to work together in the next Fast and Furious movies. Because when you both are together, it's like all the eyes of the world are on you guys. He tags Vin, he tags The Rock, and does hashtag Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson, please work back together. Prayer emoji.
And you saw his bio, right?
Oh, I know. That was part of the choosings.
So, Michelle, Joe's new strategy, which worked gangbusters last week, which either means it's going to work every week or never again, there's going to be no middle ground, is he finds people who say they're the biggest fan of the Fast and Furious and then just let them know about our show, which, it seems like a foolproof plan.
Pretty much.
So now, Joe, how do you want to respond to Hamden?
We would love for Vin and The Rock to put their differences aside and work together in the next Fast and Furious movie 2. We say it all the time. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
We would love for Vin and Dwayne to put their differences aside and work together for the next F&F movie. We say it all the time. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Perfect.
It'd be very funny if Hamden does not reply, but The Rock's like, oh, you do have a podcast for me. It's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, The Rock's like, thanks, guys.
Even better.
I don't think it's going to work. I just think it's funny for one specific reason, which I'm going to comment on. Okay. So I found Meg Dean at Hippie Wiccan on Twitter. And this is it was posted via IFTTT, the if this then that. So like it's an automated, like when something happens, something else happens.
Yep.
Meg posts, I just watched Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, March 7th, 2022 at 8:36 a.m. And the reason I like this is because who's watching? I mean, she's probably logging it on Letterboxd or something from like the night before. But I just like the idea of someone watching, like waking, like instead of waking and baking, just waking and Hobbs and Shawing and being like, and I'm going to say to Meg, anybody who who starts their day with Hobbs and Shaw is family already or something like that. Because I just love the idea of someone being like, what do I need to do? The first thing I'm going to do today, I'm going to watch Hobbs and Shaw.
Get your coffee, sit down, watch Hobbs and Shaw.
Like, I watch Hobbs and Shaw at 8 o'clock in the morning this morning because, like, I've seen it 9 times and it's a job for me, right? Like, that's different than just like a normal person. And I say that in a way that Joe and I are abnormal in this sense. A normal person should not be waking at Hobbs and Shawing, but if that's the case, I love it.
It's beautiful.
So, I'm saying anyone who starts their day with an 8:36 a.m. viewing of Hobbs and Shaw is already #family in our book. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Awesome.
I don't think Meg is going to respond, but maybe Meg has been waiting for this. I don't know. Who knows? Who can say? Truly, who can never be sure. But Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. You were an absolute delight to talk to.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to having you back with Leisha and getting even more Fast and Furious takes. Maybe we can talk about maybe by that point we'll be a Purge podcast. We're not going to be a Purge podcast.
No. I haven't seen any of the movies, so that would be more of a Leisha thing. But yeah, that would be awesome.
Very cool. Thank you. So what would you like to plug? Is there anywhere that you want people to find you online? Or if not, if you want to remain a mystery, that's fine too.
I do a lot of knitting, so if you like to talk, you can find me on Twitter if you want to talk about knitting. But in fact, I've been knitting while we've been sitting here.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Knitting and podcasts go together well. I've
they
heard,
really do.
Like the How Did This Get Made podcast, they talk about like people in the front row knitting at their shows and stuff like that. So just like a mindless activity to do like while you're talking or listening, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's nice because it's like I've been doing it for a long time, so I don't even need to really look down at my hands. So I might be able to do it in a movie theater if I had something that was super like mindless.
But cool. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a treat. So Joe.
Yes.
We've been teasing it for a little while. But we have, between now and next episode, we have Brian's second, I don't know, how many movies has he made us watch this lap that he's just like, do this one, do this one, do this one. But finally, we're going to do Caligula.
Oh.
The very incredibly sexy Helen Mirren film. Caligula.
Yeah, he was stoked.
Then, next week, we are going back to how we basically started the lap with the OG Shaw Brothers. We are doing the Shaw Brothers martial arts film, The 5 Venoms, sometimes called The 5 Deadly Venoms, from 1978. So I'm very excited. We got a weird one.
You've seen that one, right? Isn't that good?
I've seen it. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I saw that in Austin at a draft house, and RZA was there to talk about it. So.
Oh, very, very cool. Nice.
I don't think RZA is going to come over to watch it again with me this time, but maybe he will. I don't know.
Come into your house.
Yeah,
just
you never know.
on your couch.
Hey, RZA, you were in the room when I saw it the last time. Can you come over and watch it again with me? He's like, yeah, man. I love that movie.
Exactly.
You want to come talk about it on the podcast? No, I'm good. I will come over to watch it with you, though. Okay. Thanks, RZA. But Caligula and the 5 Venoms, and then, of course, after that, F9, as we round up, whatever, the lap. But Caligula for the patrons on TooFastTooForever.com, and the 5 Venoms to everyone next Tuesday. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and our store at TooFastTooForever.shop. And come back, like I said, for Caligula and the 5 Venoms. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and that was Michelle Farley, and we'll tell you all about it
When we see you again.